The music swelled as the bride stepped onto the marble aisle, her dress a glimmering waterfall of silk and diamonds. But no one was looking at her. They were all looking at me. I had just entered through the side gate, alone. Not because I didn't have someone, but because I was told explicitly that he wasn't welcome, that this wedding was for real family, and anyone outside that circle was considered a distraction. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. So I walked in quietly, dressed in a simple dark blue gown with a slit-up one leg, heels clicking against the patio tile, hair slicked into a polished bun. I carried no purse, no date, just my presence. And that was enough to make the laughter start. From the right, I heard my cousin Kelsey lean into her boyfriend. She showed up alone? Oh my God. On the left, my Aunt Tabitha scoffed. Always the black sheep. Can't even buy a +1. Then came the voice that cut through everything. My father. Look who finally decided to show up, he bellowed, drink sloshing from his glass as he stomped down the steps toward me. Couldn't even bribe a Tinder date, huh? Still the same pathetic little girl. You couldn't even find a dare. The guests erupted in laughter. My ears burned. Dad, I came for Megan. That's it. My voice was calm, measured, but my hands clenched at my sides. Oh, Megan doesn't need you. She has us. Family. Not whatever embarrassment you've turned into, he sneered, grabbing my arm. Let's get you a proper entrance, huh? Before I could react, he shoved me hard. My heels slipped. I stumbled backwards and then, splash. I went under. The wedding guests gasped, then cheered. Someone even clapped. I came up sputtering, soaked from head to toe, my gown clinging to every inch of my body. The water from the fountain shimmered over my skin, mascara dripping down my cheeks. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I smiled. Right at my father. Right at my sister. And I said just loud enough for everyone to hear, remember this moment. I climbed out of the fountain barefoot, my wet dress dragging against the stone. I didn't ask for a towel. I didn't care that people were whispering. My father shook his head in disgust. My sister avoided my eyes. They thought they'd humiliated me. They had no idea. Because 20 minutes later, the low hum of a luxury engine rolled into the estate driveway. And then came the black Mercedes Maybach. A man stepped out. Tall. Sharp-suited. Eyes cold as ice. Posture lethal. The driver opened the rear door. The crowd started to murmur. And then he stepped out. Nathaniel Hayes. Quiet billionaire. Media-shy CEO of a tech company that had just closed a $2.6 billion federal defense contract. He walked straight toward me, his eyes only on me. Everyone froze. Then my sister gasped, "Wait, is that?" Before the whispers could spread, Nathaniel reached me, took my dripping hand in his, leaned in, and said under his breath, "You good, baby?" I nodded. He turned to face the entire stunned crowd, his arm now firmly around my waist. His tone was calm, but carried the weight of thunder. Is there a reason my wife was pushed into a fountain at her sister's wedding? The silence that followed was deafening. My father's face drained of color. My aunt stumbled back into her chair. And my sister? Megan's jaw trembled. "Wife," she repeated. Nathaniel held up my left hand, brushing his thumb over the diamond-studded platinum band. "Yes. Wife," he said. "We got married privately 3 weeks ago. But since you all felt she wasn't good enough to bring a date," his eyes narrowed at my father, "I figured it was time I introduced myself properly." What came next? Well, that's where things got interesting. Because that moment wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of how I tore down every wall they'd built to keep me out. How I rose, publicly, unapologetically, and made sure every one of them ate their laughter. And how the truth about my family, the lies, the betrayal, the cruelty they hid behind their pretty smiles, was dragged out into the light. Piece by brutal piece. The aftermath of my billionaire husband's arrival rippled through the wedding like a poison gas leak. The music had stopped. Megan's bouquet hung limp in her hands. Someone dropped a glass near the catering table, and the shatter echoed through the courtyard like a gunshot. I stood there drenched, clinging to Nathaniel's hand while my family stared like they'd seen a ghost. I could almost see the math working in their heads. That man her?
Why? How?
Megan broke first. This is a joke, she said, stepping forward in her white Vera Wang gown. You're lying. She's not married to you. She couldn't be. Nathaniel raised a brow. Would you like to see our wedding certificate? Vows were exchanged in Ojai. Vineyard. Private estate. Want me to call our lawyer? She blinked. Her mouth opened, but no words came.
Dad didn't speak.
His eyes darted between Nathaniel's Rolex, the car in the driveway, and the silent way the driver now stood like a statue near the hood, watching. Why the hell would he marry someone like her? My cousin Kelsey whispered too loudly. I could ask the same. Nathaniel replied coolly. Why would someone like me step into a den of snakes, pretending to celebrate love while humiliating their own blood in front of strangers? My father stepped in. Okay, enough of this. You're just some rich boy she manipulated. That's all she's ever been good at. Leeching. Faking it. Latching onto anything with value. Nathaniel stared at him. A long, eerie silence. Then he turned to me and said calmly, "Let's go home." But I didn't move. Not yet. Actually, I said, stepping forward slowly, still soaked. I think I'll stay a few more minutes. I want to see the cake. My mother tried to interject. Sweetheart, I think you should. No. I cut in, my voice calm but heavy. You made me feel like I wasn't worth being seen. You laughed when he pushed me. You all did. Nobody denied it. Nobody could. I told you to remember this moment. Because now I do. And I'll carry it with me every day of my life. I leaned closer to my father. Whatever dignity you had left in my eyes, you drowned it in that fountain. And I walked out, Nathaniel at my side, the hem of my soaked dress trailing behind me like a crown's cape. I didn't look back. But I heard the murmurs, the buzz, the panic already starting behind me. The drive back was silent, until Nathaniel spoke. Why didn't you tell me it was this bad? I stared out the window. Would you have believed me? His jaw clenched. You should have let me come with you from the beginning. They would have still found a way to humiliate me. It's not about who I'm with, Nate. It's about me. It always has been. I was never the favorite. I was the threat they couldn't control. Nathaniel reached over and took my hand. That ends now. If you're willing. I think it's time we put your last name on everything we've built. I froze. What do you mean? I mean, he said, I want you on the board of Hayes Strategic Holdings.
Publicly.
Legally. As my wife. And more than that, I want you to show them who you are. Not just quietly. Not modestly. But fully. I swallowed hard. They'll come after me harder. He smiled faintly. Good. Let them. Over the next few weeks, my name hit every major news outlet. The secret bride of Nathaniel Hayes. Who is Olivia Carter? Wedding fountains and billionaires. A viral family drama unfolds. Sister of local bride now controlling shares of tech giant. How? The wedding video leaked. The shove.
The splash.
My calm smile. Nathaniel's arrival. It all went viral. Suddenly, the same people who called me a disgrace were now sending flowers, DMs, fake apologies. Even Megan posted a staged photo of us together from 5 years ago with the caption, "Sisters above all." I didn't respond. Not when the bakery who refused to cater my birthday last year emailed to offer me a custom apology cake. Not when my cousin Kelsey messaged, "OMG, you looked so good at Meg's wedding, LOL, crazy day, huh? Drink soon?" And definitely not when my father tried calling with, "Let's talk like adults." I let the silence punish them. But the silence didn't last forever. Because one day, I received a private envelope with no return address. Inside was a flash drive. I plugged it in. And what I saw shattered everything. Security footage. My sister. Standing at a hotel bar. Laughing with Nathaniel. From 6 months ago. Her hand touched his chest. His face looked unreadable. Then she leaned in, closer than she should have. The next video, the hallway outside his hotel room. She tried to enter. He stopped her. She tried again. He blocked her firmly, sternly. He never let her in. But she didn't stop trying. The date? 2 weeks before our first official date. I closed the laptop slowly. My pulse thundered. This wasn't just humiliation now. This was something deeper. Something Megan tried to get before I had it. And now that I did, she wanted to destroy it. I didn't cry. I didn't even call Nathaniel. Not yet. I just sat back in my chair and whispered, "All right. You want war? Let's play." I didn't tell Nathaniel about the flash drive. Not immediately. I needed to understand why Megan would try to seduce the man I ended up marrying. I needed to understand how deep her obsession with control really went. So, I played the footage again. It was clear Nathaniel wasn't interested. His arms never moved. He never touched her. His mouth was tight. His shoulders stiff. But she kept leaning in, laughing like she owned the world, as if she had already decided he was hers. It made me sick. I shut the laptop and just sat there, heart thudding, trying to breathe. Megan hadn't just wanted to sabotage me. She had tried to take him, before she even knew what he'd mean to me. Before I knew. And now she was playing the victim online, pretending to be the gracious sister. Reposting stories with #FamilyFirst. The day after, I finally told Nathaniel. He listened without interruption. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. "I should have told you," he said. "She came on strong that night, but I thought ignoring it was enough. She backed off eventually. Or so I thought." "You never kissed her?" "Never touched her," he said firmly. Not for a second. I believed him. But something still sat heavy in my chest. Not about him, about her. "She's not going to stop," I whispered. "This isn't about jealousy. This is about her needing to be the one in charge. If she couldn't have you, she'll try to destroy what you gave me." "Then we stop playing nice," he said. "No more silence. No more ignoring. You want to take her mask off? I'll help you do it." But I didn't need his help just yet, because someone else reached out to me first. It was a message request from a woman named Emma Hartley. She wrote, "You don't know me, but I used to date a guy named Luke. He was engaged to your sister once. He told me things. I didn't believe him until I saw that fountain video."
Can we talk?
We met at a quiet restaurant downtown. Emma looked nervous. She kept glancing at the door like someone might follow her. "She's worse than you think," Emma said, voice low. "Luke used to tell me Megan was obsessed with being the center of attention. He said she sabotaged friends' relationships. Got someone fired once for getting a promotion before her. And when she got engaged to him, she cheated 3 weeks later. With his best friend." I didn't blink. I just sipped my tea. "She did the same to me in college," I said. "Different man. Same pattern." Emma nodded like she'd been waiting to hear that. "She wanted me out of Luke's life. Sent fake messages from my phone to him. Claimed I was cheating. I only found out because his sister screenshotted one." "Why are you telling me this now?" She looked me dead in the eyes. "Because you're the first person she couldn't control. And I think she's planning something worse." Nathaniel and I decided not to make a public move yet. Instead, I began gathering pieces. I contacted the event planner from the wedding and asked for raw footage from their security cameras. I reached out to Megan's ex-employer. She left with a glowing farewell post, but the woman who replaced her told me Megan was caught deleting other people's work files to sabotage quarterly evaluations. I even asked one of my father's business contacts why he cut ties with the family. "She's toxic," he told me. "Your dad covers for her. Your mom turns a blind eye. But everyone knows Megan's a liability with a pretty face. I lost a contract because of her." Bit by bit, the truth came together. She wasn't a victim. She was a ticking bomb. And they all let her tick. But the final spark came when I got a call from a law firm. A lawyer named Grant Delaney wanted to speak to me. His tone was stiff but respectful. "I represent your grandmother's estate," he said. "There's a codicil to her we believe you were never told about." I blinked. She passed away 3 years ago. Yes, he said. And 6 weeks before that, she changed the beneficiary of her private property trust, comprising 3 houses and $1.3 million in assets. The beneficiary listed is you. But the paperwork was never disclosed during probate. Why not? He hesitated. Because someone used a forged signature to try and redirect the assets. We believe it was your father, possibly with your sister's help. The silence between us stretched. Miss Carter, he said gently, would you like to reclaim what's legally yours? I stared at the marble counter in front of me, the tea in my hand now cold. Yes, I said, but I don't want it quiet. The lawyer sent me the documents. Not copies. Originals. My name was there in black ink, signed in my grandmother's hand. Dated, notarized. Everything was real. Everything had been buried. I called Nathaniel. It's time. 2 days later, headlines began to spread. Inheritance fraud? Granddaughter of Hayes CEO reclaims $1.3 million in suppressed trust. By noon, it was trending. Not because of me, but because people recognized the names in the court filing. My father's. My sister's. I didn't make a statement. I didn't need to. But I made sure the court date was open to the public. And I showed up in a fitted navy suit, hair down, heels sharp, walking hand in hand with Nathaniel as the reporters screamed my name. Inside, my father avoided my eyes. Megan didn't show up at all. Her lawyer submitted a written denial, claiming ignorance. But the judge wasn't moved. Especially when the handwriting expert showed the comparison between my grandmother's signature and the forged one. This wasn't sloppy, the expert said. It was personal. Someone practiced this. My father's face turned red. I didn't look at him. I didn't need to. I already won. Back home, Nathaniel poured champagne, but I didn't feel like celebrating. I thought I'd feel better, I whispered. I got what she tried to hide. I got everything they said I'd never have. But, he asked, but I still hear that fountain water. Still feel it on my skin. Nathaniel stepped closer. Then let them remember it too. He handed me an envelope. Inside was an invite. To our public vow renewal. A charity gala. Black tie. Press invited. 150 guests. And every name on the guest list? Every single person who had clapped when I was pushed into that fountain. The night of the event, Megan showed up in a red gown with a smug little smirk, thinking it was her scene again. Until the slideshow began. Projected on the wall were photos of my grandmother's house, smiling moments of me with her as a child, and finally, the document. Her real will.
Signed. Sealed.
Shown to the entire room. I stood and took the mic. My name is Olivia Carter Hayes. You all remember me as the girl alone at her sister's wedding. But I was never alone. I was just underestimated. Silence. And now, I'm exactly where I belong. I raise my glass. To the ones who laughed. I hope you're watching closely. And they were. Especially Megan, who stormed out before dessert. 2 days after the gala, Megan texted me. We need to talk. Alone. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Come by tomorrow. 4 p.m. No games. She arrived exactly at 4. No makeup. No dramatic entrance. Just her. Standing at the door like we hadn't been enemies our entire lives. I let her in. No words. No hug. We sat in silence for a few seconds. Then she said it. You were never supposed to win. I looked her in the eye. You mean I was never supposed to survive? She didn't deny it. You were always the one Mom and Dad laughed at. The quiet one. You didn't chase grades or applause. You didn't fight back. You just disappeared into your books and let the world forget you. You pushed me out, I said. And when I stopped needing your approval, that's when you panicked. Megan leaned back. Nathaniel was supposed to be a one-night thing. I didn't even know he had money. I just thought he was hot. I stayed quiet. You know what scared me the most? She asked, voice low. It wasn't that you married a billionaire. It was that he chose you. The one we all joked about. I waited for the apology. It never came. So I stood. You came here thinking I'd forgive you?
No, she said.
I came here because I'm tired of pretending. The money, the wedding, the show. It's over now. You won.
I didn't win, I said.
I became. There's a difference. She stared at me, and for the first time, her face cracked. Just slightly. Not sadness. Not regret. Something close to realization. You always wanted the world to revolve around you, Megan, I said softly. But I built my own. She stood.
Didn't say goodbye.
Just walked out. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Weeks passed. The court officially restored the inheritance. My father was fined and publicly reprimanded. His company stock dropped. Quietly, a few partners pulled out. Megan? She stayed offline, probably hiding from the storm she'd built.
But me?
I kept rising. Not for revenge anymore.
For me.
On our anniversary, Nathaniel and I returned to the estate where the wedding happened. The fountain was still there. This time I didn't fall in. I stepped up, looked into the water, and saw my reflection.
Different. Steady. Whole.
Nathaniel came up beside me. Do you forgive them? No, I said. But I forgive me for letting their voices live in my head for too long. He kissed my hand, and behind us, the sun started to set. Warm, golden, endless. Just like my future.